And now it's time to start working on our mud texture. But first of all, I just want to fix a little bit our mask because it looks like it is some kind of water or what, and we want to make it more like mud look with some kind of spots, maybe some dirty leaks and stuff like that. So let's try to do it just to slightly fix to add to it more interesting shape. So just for comparison purpose, let's add one more paint layer for our mask and just call it, I don't know, fix. Okay, let it be. And just try to find some more interesting shape for our alpha. So first of all, let's pick basic hard brush, maybe decrease spacing to 5 and maybe enable lazy mouse and increase the distance to 6 and just like that, just X and just add some more interesting extra stuff to it, something like this one. Maybe add one more interesting shape over here and maybe just make this wave a little bit bigger like this one. And the next one, I just want to make some kind of transition between them like this one. Maybe add more transition like here. Okay, maybe add one more transition from this side, one more transition over here, and just maybe, you know what, maybe I just want to erase some part over here. Okay, so I don't need to add any kind of transition like this one, and just to get rid of lazy mouse and just paint all necessary area for our new shape. And let's just take a look at the base shape. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, it looks nice. Okay. And the next one, I just want to add some more extra spots. Yeah, maybe like over here, some spot, maybe one more big spot on this side. Shouldn't be so super accurate. Maybe it's too big. I don't know. Maybe just like this one, more interesting. Just always try to find some interesting shape to it. Maybe this one will be smaller. This one will have some more like this kind of a shape, like this one. We'll fix it a little bit later, maybe. And one more along shape of spot over here. Okay, like just test it. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And this is a really great start and actually the great mask for start working on our texture and finding some interesting pattern. And now let's add some interesting pattern to our mud texture. Actually, I played for a while with different procedural textures that there were in the Substance Painter assets folder, and I realized that that one that we picked for our body is working pretty well for the mud one as well. So let's create one more fill layer and let's call it pattern, and a black mask, and a fill layer, and let's try to find this one. I hope galvanic. Yeah, this one, grunge galvanic small texture, and let's drag and drop to our grayscale alpha and just tweak a little bit with the tiling, decrease to 3, rotate it to 170 degrees. And I played with these attributes as well and don't want to waste your time with all this tweakment stuff for now. And as you already know, Substance Painter has huge library of different procedural textures, and I hope you will find even better pattern for the mud. But I just don't want to waste your time, as I mentioned before, with all this testing stuff. And let's just stick with this one for now. The next one, I want to make our base color slightly darker. Maybe, yeah, maybe to this level. Okay, and just change the blending mode of our pattern to value. And it means to make all layers that they were below lighter or darker based on our grayscale intensity. And let's decrease the intensity to, I don't know, maybe to this level. Okay. And actually, I'm pretty happy with our base texture. You can play with the colors, with the blending modes, with the intensity, as long as you want. And yeah, I just want to stick with this for now. And the next one, we will be adding some extra painting stuff to our texture. And now let's add our first hand paint layer to mud texture. So let's create fill layer, let's call it hand paint. And first of all, I want to get rid of area that I'm not pretty happy with on our pattern. So let's pick our previously saved hand paint base brush. And for this task, let's create one more paint layer and let's call it base. And just zoom to the area that you don't like it and just overdraw it. For example, I don't like this strange spots, light spots, and maybe I just want to fix it a little bit like this one, maybe blend like here. And I want to add some more darker area over here like this one, and maybe get rid of this strange tip and add some lighter area over here, change this shape a little bit and add some extra details here, and just rotate your pattern back and forward and just take a look where area I'm not pretty suitable for you. And for example, this bottom part, I would like to add more darker area, maybe like this one, maybe add more dark area like this one, maybe overdraw this mirroring stuff like this one, add some dark paint over here, and let's take a look at the difference. And as you can see, just a slightly small fixes on our base texture. And let's take a look over here. And yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with our base hand paint fixes of our pattern. And now it's time to add some extra details to our mud texture by painting over shadows and highlights on it. So let's start from the shadows. Let's add one more paint layer, call it as it is, shadows. And I just don't want to waste your time on painting over shadows to wall texture. I just want to show you my approach on some small area, and you just repeat it to the other one. So let's pick some dark color, maybe from over here, make it even more darker like this one, play with your brush size a little bit, and just try to find some interesting shape of your shadow, like this one. Yeah, like this one over here. Let's maybe put this shadow on floats over here. Let's repeat, for example, for this shape as well. And as you can see, our base pattern will really help me to find the correct position and flowing of my shadows. Yeah, like this one. Maybe let's add one more shadow to this area, like this one. Actually, where the pattern flows, our shadow goes. So yeah, something like this one. Okay, it's sometimes not a super easy task to do to find the correct shape for our pattern, and you always have to go back and forward to undo and redo all patterns, but for now we are not super precise, and maybe this is only for tutorial purpose, and I hope your pattern will be much better than mine. So the next one, I just want to add some extra shadows to our spots on our body. Just repeat all this approach, just pick this color, the color of our spot, make it a little bit darker. Why I'm actually picking every time on different spot, because they sometimes have slightly different colors, so I just want to match it correctly with them, like this one. But you can actually stick with some basic color and just repeat all this shadowing process to the other as well. So okay, just don't want to waste your time a lot of it, like this one. Maybe add some extra shape over here. And lately, when we will be adding highlights on them, they will be popping up even more and looks more interesting than actually they are looking right now, only with shadows. Yeah, like this one over here. Maybe just add some extra shadows over here. Yeah, lately we'll fix. Okay, So the next one, I just want to add some extra sharpness to this shadowed area. Just pick this color, make it even more darker, and just decrease the size of our brush a little bit, and just make some extra dark highlights in the most darker area, like this one. Yeah, okay. Maybe over here, just repeat over here, this extra shadowing things, movements, yeah, like this one. As you can see now, this shapes looks more solid and sharper. Yeah, over here, just repeat the steps. Maybe break in this position, just repeat over here. And let's repeat this step for this pattern as well, like this one. Okay, so I will repeat all these steps for the whole area as well, and just return to you in a sec. So this is the final result of my hand paint shadows on our mud texture. And the next one, what I want to add is one more paint layer for the highlights. So let's do it. Let's create highlight a layer, and let's repeat the same step as we did for the shadows. Just pick color, and instead of decreasing the lightness, we have to increase it, and just to play with the brush radius and just to mark roughly where we would like to add our highlights on what surface, just like that. And I just want to point out that on this stage we have to be more accurate and precise, because we don't want to overpaint our bottom shadows layers. So yeah, so please be accurate in this stage. So like this one, okay. And let's repeat the same steps as we did many times in this tutorial, just to blending a little bit our surface, just picking the closest color and just blend it with our highlights, like this one. Just repeat for this area as well, like this one, okay. And one more thing that I want to add is just a small highlights to the most lighted area. Should just pick a little bit lighter color, just increase the size of our brush, and just add some small highlights to some area that you like. Okay, I just want to add one more here, and maybe over here, maybe one more highlight over here. Actually, yes, maybe one more here, and just repeat the same step for this area as well. Okay, just like that. And maybe you can blend it a little bit with your surface like this one, but I just don't want to waste your time too much on such details. So like this one, let's test it. Yeah, it's too bright, but we can play with our opacity and intensity a little bit late. So I just want to repeat the same step as we did for our body spots to our outline. Just want to add some highlights to it. So let's do it, and just like that, let's add some highlights to our outline, like this one. Okay, like this one. We shouldn't be super accurate because this is not a hard surface, this is only a mud, like this one. Maybe we can add them a little bit brighter just to blend in some areas, like this one. I think this is a pretty good result as a base. And let's add highlights to our spots as well, to a few spots, and just to, for example, just to add highlight over here, maybe just over here, one more highlight here, and repeat for this one as well. Add a highlight, and maybe let's repeat one more time for this one as well, like this one. Okay, maybe let's add more bigger highlight over here. Okay, maybe just smooth a little bit, and just add the same bright spots as we add to our shape, like this one, and just add some small, more brighter highlights in necessary area, like this one. And over here, and as you can see now, it looks like it has the shape even more. Okay, maybe one more highlight over here. And as you can see, with this kind of approach, we have a really nice highlight. Let's test it. This is with, without, with, and without. and I just don't want to waste your time and repeat all these steps for other areas and come back to you in a second. So this is the final result of highlights on our mud texture. And as I mentioned before, in my opinion, they are too intensive. So let's decrease the opacity for this paint layer slightly. So I don't know, maybe to 70%. Yeah, is completely enough. So let's test it. And yeah, even with this opacity, the highlights is pretty noticeable. And let's decrease shadows to for about 90 degrees as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with hand painting stuff. And the next one, what I want to add is a AO to our mud texture. But as you already know, the AO should be slightly bigger than the texture by itself. And but we have the straight constraints of our mask in our mud texture. I don't want to expand this mask because we have already a lot of hand-painted stuff on it, and I just don't want to ruin it. And let's just pick this AO to the bottom layer, for instance, like to the body texture. So I will show you the quick trick how to do it. So let's go to the body texture folder. Let's create one more fill layer. And let's color, for example, mud AO. Okay, let's make it completely black, change blending mode to value, and add a black mask. And we just want to duplicate our matte mask to this mud AO. So let's do it. Let's hold Shift and hold Alt and drag and drop to our mud mask. So let's test it. Yeah, here it is. And the next one, what I want to add is just to add one more filter, and this filter is a blur, and maybe increase the intensity to 1. And as you can see, now we have, let's test it, enable, disable. Yeah, and the result is pretty noticeable, and we have some kind of separation with this AO between our body and our matte. And as you may already guess, the final thing that we want to add to our mud texture is some post-processing tweak. So let's create one more folder. Let's name it as usual post-processing, change blending mode to pass-through, and create first fill layer, and let's call it gradient bottom as it is. Pick some really shiny blue color for this. Let's add a black mask, add a fill layer, pick some gradient like this one, and let's tweak a little bit this gradient over here, change to planar projection, put, I don't know, maybe to this one position, decrease contrast, invert it, and just play with the contrast slightly like this one. Maybe let's put it even at the bottom like this one. Okay. Pretty good result. Change blending mode to overlay, and let's play with our opacity, I don't know, maybe to 30%. Let's take a look if it is noticeable or not. Yeah, it's really pretty good result and matching with body as well. So let's duplicate this layer one more time and just name it gradient top, and let's tweak our top highlights as usual, make it like a slightly orange, something between orange and yellow. Let's increase overlay for now, the visibility. Okay, put it to this position, invert it, maybe increase the contrast. Let's all actually go to our mask for better visibility of our influence. Okay, and let's test play with contrast as well. Okay, I think this one is pretty good. Let's take a look and maybe decrease the opacity, I don't know, to maybe to 50. I don't know, we can play with this anytime later. And you know what? The last thing that I want to add is maybe these small highlights on the tip. So let's do it. Let's create one more fill layer, and let's call it tip highlight like this one. Make the colors completely white. add a black mask, and maybe let's pick our hand paint soft brush and just with easy mouse click on the tip, let's add this highlight, maybe like this one. Okay, and just to change blending mode to overlay, and let's test it. And yes, actually without any tweakments, we have a pretty good result of tip highlights. And the last thing that I want to add to the post-processing is one more filter, and this one is HSL Perceptive. We used in previous texturing tutorials a few times, and I just want to make a little bit more of separation between body and mud texture by decreasing this saturation of the mud slightly. I don't know, to maybe 0.45, it's completely enough. So let's take a look at the difference. Yeah, it looks more desaturated. And maybe decrease the lightness slightly, maybe to this level as well, 0.45. So let's test it. Yeah, and now as you can see, we have a slightly bigger contrast between body and our mud texture. So yes, I'm pretty happy with the texture of our mud, and I hope you will get much better result in patterns and some painting stuff. And okay, so see you in the next video.